Welcome to the Bottle Poppin' Podcast, where Meg and Heather share their love for oils, friendship, and entrepreneurship. Let's get it poppin'.
Hey everyone, this is Meg.
Hi there, this is Heather.
Hey, this is Donald.
And we are the Bottle Poppin' Podcast. And we're so excited to have Donald on. He's actually been on the podcast one time before, but this is my husband. This is Meg speaking.
Hey.
And he's going to join us for this important conversation. So Heather, why don't you tell everybody what we are talking about today?
We are going to revisit a topic today. So back in October, in episode 51, we discussed MetaPWR. We had just gotten back from convention, and so we were kind of talking about what we had learned and what we knew about it so far. Today, we are going to go a little bit more in depth into what each of our results have been with MetaPWR since we started it.
Yeah, and I'll say at convention, they basically gave us, I think it was 16 different things that people had experienced with MetaPWR, and it all has to do with metabolic health, but everybody's body is unique. So everybody experiences different things, but these 16 things in general is what they had noticed were repeated over and over again. And so it's super interesting, and I'm excited to have Donald on this as well, because all three of us have very different experiences with what we're experiencing. So Heather, you want to go first?
Sure. I guess I have always kind of maintained a certain weight range. And so I didn't necessarily have high expectations for that part of it. And I will say too that where people said they had noticed the most with that was when they were eating healthy and combining it with exercise. My exercise routine has not existed at all recently. And I do think that if I were to start exercising again, I think I would see a little bit of the weight changes for myself. However, that has not been part of it for me. My biggest takeaway with MetaPWR so far has been sleep. I've been a good sleeper for quite some time, just using essential oils, but this really lets me fall asleep quickly, and I feel like I get deep sleep and I wake up feeling rested the next day. And I wasn't expecting that. And so I'm honestly quite surprised by it. But that's been a really good outcome from it. The other thing is my hair and nails is like growing out of control. Like I go to get my hair cut today, and I'm so excited to see if what my hairdresser says, because I saw her right before convention. So right before I'd started taking MetaPWR, and I get my hair cut every 8 to 10 weeks. And she usually cuts off an inch or so just to kind of keep it at length. It is easily 3 inches longer than what I saw her last time. So, and I have to cut for physical therapy. I keep my nails short so that I'm not poking patients. So I have to cut my nails more often now just to keep them short. So these outcomes were surprising, but I've enjoyed them all the same.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So like you, for me, the biggest difference I've noticed is kind of like you, where you felt like you were already sleeping well. A lot of people had talked about how it helped brain fog, and I did not think I had brain fog. I still don't know that I would say I had brain fog, but what I feel like MetaPWR has done for me is it has turned on the strategic part of my brain. So now, like when I hear a problem or even talking with clients, it's so funny the way my brain works, because all of a sudden it's like, okay, I know what to do. And it's this, and like all the steps fall into place and make sense to me. And because of that, I feel like I've been so much more productive. It definitely has sped up the time that I create protocols for clients and that type of thing. It's just fun to have like this part of my brain turned on.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I would have loved to say that I'd lost weight. I haven't really lost weight. I've pretty much maintained weight the whole time. But I've been measuring my body, like inches around my body. And it's so interesting because I've been curvy since like 13. At least certain parts of my body have been curvy since I was 13. So I just wondered if this would shift that or change that at all. And the only place I have lost inches is not a place I would have expected. But I mean, things are fitting better, so I guess that's good. But my butt, for some reason, that's the only place I have lost inches is my butt. So there's that.
But really, butt equals hips too, because I feel like, yes, probably the butt, but I feel like when we measure that area, it's kind of all around with hips too. And honestly, to me, I think that would be a plus just because fitting on jeans, sometimes it'll fit in the legs or the waist, but then you've got to, get it over the butt, or then it's too gappy in the waist. So that's not a bad thing.
Right. Yeah. And I work out regularly. I have not changed the way I've worked out, but specifically I work out once a week with a functional trainer, movement specialist, and she has upped the amount of weights I'm able to do. So I'm definitely getting stronger as well. And I don't know if that's because I've been working with her for 10 months and now it's just happening, or if that's MetaPWR, but that's kind of cool to feel stronger.
Yes.
So there's that. And then the other thing that it just dawned on me this morning, actually, because I almost accidentally did this, but I have not needed any caffeine since starting MetaPWR. And I noticed this initially because I tend to be kind of sensitive to the caffeine. So I normally would do decaf most days. And then days where I felt super sleepy, I would do half decaf, half caffeinated coffee. And I get my coffee through an online ordering thing, Drive Market. And so on a monthly basis, I'm buying a box, and one package of decaf would normally work for me. And now, because I'm not ever mixing it with full caffeinated coffee, I am just drinking decaf. And I think there's only been one day since I started MetaPWR where I've had real coffee mixed in. And that was the week that we watched my parents' puppy, and I was so exhausted. So that's kind of cool too, to have energy without needing to use caffeine. So those are my big changes.
All right, Donald, tell us your story, please.
Sure. Okay. So when I first started MetaPWR, I think the first change that I noticed was probably in, I guess, direct result of using the collagen. I do think that I noticed a little bit more of an alertness just and I don't even know if that was collagen related. So I don't necessarily know what actually affected it. But the first thing that I noticed was my alertness. I had already been eating pretty clean leading up to this. So I had already been losing some weight. In total, I think over the last month or so,
which we should say you've only been on MetaPWR a month.
Yes, I've only been on MetaPWR a month. So I am down 8 pounds. Now, it was more than that. But as I was telling you ladies just before this call, I was in New York over the last 3-4 days. And yeah, I eat everything. I ate the hot dogs, the pizza, the deli sandwiches, bagels with everything. I ate so much. And
and we should clarify, this was your first trip to New York, so you needed the full New York eating experience.
Yes, I did. And, I just weighed myself. And now this was after breakfast, so I don't know if there's some of that breakfast weight in there too. But I am up a couple pounds from the New York trip. But I'm actually surprised that it's just a couple as much as I ate. But this is what I've noticed the most with MetaPWR. So typically, whenever I eat cleanly and then go off that and, eat some fast food somewhere, something fried or some type of dessert, it typically takes my body about 5 to 7 days to recover before I can get back into that losing weight time again. What I've noticed the most with MetaPWR is that after eating uncleanly, my body can jump right back into the normal swing of things the very next day. So I won't still continue to lose weight, but it doesn't hurt me or affect me the way that it did before. And I say hurt me as far as I'm speaking in terms of weight. I have no idea what it's doing internally, but yeah, in regards to weight, it seems to stop the bad effects of food and when it comes to my weight loss. So yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I feel like the first time you noticed that you had like some cookies, and prior to MetaPWR, you would have cookies, and then it's like, I had cookies, might as well just keep on. Like I've already given up, let's just keep on. And the next day you're like, no, back on the saddle, like don't have these cravings, which is amazing after, this long for us being together to see that shift in you.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have noticed that. I mean, in general, I usually like to keep, I used to like to keep bad eating times confined to either a meal, at most a day. But if that day stretches, then, into a weekend, then that can be the case as well. But yeah, I've noticed that I can tend to keep it locked down a lot easier with MetaPWR.
I think you had a story about the gum really working for you too. I have not used the gum. I think Magnus has used it a couple of times at work in the afternoon, but you and Meg had gone somewhere and had a bunch of options of food in front of you. And I think you said you had success with the gum.
Yes. This was during, a sad occasion. I believe it was during the memorial for, a nephew of ours. And yeah, what I remember was how many sweets were there on this sweets table. There were more sweets, I felt like, than normal food.
Yeah. Can I explain why?
Sure.
Just because, again, like most people don't do funerals or memorials the way our family does. But my nephew who passed away, his favorite color was pink, and he specifically liked pink desserts. And so when my sister's friends and neighbors asked what they could do to help, she said, I want this to be a celebration of his life. So let's have his favorite food. So anything dessert wise that you can think of that's pink, if you'll bring it. And I don't know if she was expecting, like 10 people to bring desserts, but I feel like 60 people showed up with pink sweet desserts. It was really sweet to see how many people showed up. And, like one woman baked this gorgeous cake that was, with pink frosting and just really thoughtful, but also so many sweets, so many sweets.
It was so many. And this table was completely covered with sweets. And yeah, it was really nice to be able to just kind of chew the gum and move myself away from the sweets, at least the smell of the sweets and, and all the deliciousness that was over there. And yeah, I could, it was actually fine, with that. I told Meg, like, I felt like it was a combination of the gum as well as the fact that it was a social setting. I feel like if everyone were sitting down at a table and it was like, okay, now it's time for dessert, everybody, let's go get your dessert, and everyone was sitting down there at the same table, I feel like that would have been a harder no. But I feel like with the combination of it being a lot of people, very social, I could stay away from it. I'm not being socially pressured, with everybody having a piece of cake around the table but me type of thing. So yeah, it was kind of a perfect combination. But yeah, the gum really, really did help for sure.
Yeah. And I think for me in that situation, it was more, I think in the past, I would have been kind of fighting with myself willpower wise, like, no, don't go eat it. Don't do this. And instead it was just like, I'm good. I can show up and just be here with people and connect with people, and I don't need the dessert, and I'm good. I got gum in my mouth.
I like that. Out of curiosity, Donald, can you share your routine of how you use the different parts of MetaPWR? I'm guessing we all have a slight variation to how we use them. I'm curious what your day looks like, when and how you use them.
Sure. So, well, okay. So it is important for me to note that I wasn't quite taking it correctly the entire time. And I say that because there is, I think it's the assist that says that you should take it 15 to 30 minutes prior to the largest calorie meal or high carb meal, something like that. And I was taking it like right then. So actually, once I did start taking it 15 to 30 minutes before, I noticed a bigger change with weight. So I do think that timing, at least for me, was good. So that's something that wasn't in my routine. That is now in my routine. But I like to eat with each meal that other pill that comes in the larger bottle. Meg, I don't know if y'all happen to know what it's called.
Metabolic blend soft gel.
Yes, yes. So I take that with every meal. Throughout the day, I'll take the beadlets. I'll just drop a beadlet or two, sometimes three, just randomly throughout the day. And, when I can remember, well, yes. Okay. So there's also the collagen powder. Every morning I do the collagen powder. So that is something that I try to do every single morning.
Is that before you eat breakfast or after?
It is. Yeah. It's the very first thing that I eat every day, or eat or drink, however you want to say it. But yeah, that's the main thing. And then with the gum, I actually forgot that we had new gum. So I'm going to go get some of that. I mean, I know that we just got a couple boxes. So yeah, I should have known that. But yeah, the gum, I just eat as gum, and just whenever I'd like. So the main one, so there's one of them with each meal. The beadlets are just kind of every once in a while. The gum is every once in a while. The oil, I go directly into my mouth with it, and that's probably once every couple of days or maybe 3 days, but I'll just turn the bottle upside down, drop 1, 2, and try to stop there. But, maybe 3, 4 may drop out, 3, 4 drops, but yeah, so that's what I do.
Meg, what is your variation on that?
So I do the Advantage, which is the collagen powder. I do it right after breakfast. So I eat my whole breakfast first. I have a few times done it before, like I'll do it as a post-workout since it's got a little protein in it. And that way I'm getting protein in faster than it would take to make breakfast. But I have not been as good about working out first thing in the morning. So that's not as big of a deal, but it is important. So for women specifically, right after, especially if you're doing weightlifting, you only have a 30-minute window that you need to get protein in order for it to build muscle. Men have a much bigger window. And so being able to do something like this makes it super fast. So again, when I actually do weightlifting in the morning, I try to do that right away. And then definitely the soft gels are my favorite thing to do with meals, but sometimes, probably once a meal, I will do drops of oil in water and have that with my meal. I kind of like Donald. I use the beadlets randomly throughout the day, sometimes just to freshen my breath, sometimes because I'm truly hungry. The gum I use maybe once a week, but for the same reason, freshen my breath because I'm hungry. And then the Advantage, I try to remember to take it before a meal, but I generally forget until I sit down. The assist. Yeah. I forget to take it until I sit down. So I need to get better at that.
So I have played around with mine, and I'm not sure that I've found my best method yet. I take the metabolic soft gels with every meal. That's easy for me to remember. The oil is in my water all day long. So that's easy for me to remember. In fact, after doing that for a week or so, I questioned if I remembered what regular water tasted like because I was so used to MetaPWR water. So that's pretty standard for me. The assist, I try to remember to take 15 minutes before, usually dinner, I guess, is the meal that I would take it with. But then if I end up having a high carb meal for breakfast or lunch, I think, should I have just taken it with this meal? I don't know. So I'm a little all over the place with that one. And what I've played around with most is the Advantage. Do I like to take it first thing in the morning? Do I like to take it mid-morning between breakfast and lunch? Haven't quite decided. I will say that if I take it first thing in the morning before I even eat breakfast, I have no desire for coffee. Don't want it. Don't have room in my stomach for it. Like, it's just one more thing that I just don't want. So coffee is kind of a fun ritual for me more than it is a must have. So I think it depends on the morning. If I feel like if I want a cup of coffee, then I probably will wait on the Advantage. If I don't care, then I'll just have it early. What I will say, hack-wise, that I have done to the Advantage, I saw somebody say they were doing this, and it has up-leveled it so much, is I put 2 drops of On Guard into the Advantage, and then I use one of those frothers to mix it around. The On Guard just really changes the flavor to a slightly different, I don't know, but I really like it. And so that is a routine that when I do the Advantage, it's got 2 drops of On Guard in there, and I highly recommend that.
That's awesome. So you're boosting your immune system while supporting your metabolic system.
Yeah. Cool. And I've thought about trying other citrus oils or something else in there just to kind of modify the flavor. We've been using a lot of the tropical cuisine blend for different things. Magnus has made us fancy daiquiris with it. We've been putting it in smoothies and it's delicious. So I thought about adding it, but so far I've just stuck to the On Guard because it's winter. We're coming up on trip. Well, I don't know. It's fall, I guess. It feels like winter. We're coming up on trips that I just want to stay healthy. So the On Guard felt like an easy thing to add then too.
Yeah, that's cool. I have added lemon a few times just to get extra detoxing benefits, but the On Guard I still haven't tried. So I did think of one other thing that I have done. I have pretty consistently used MetaPWR with body brushing as well. And again, I'm only really applying it on my belly. So I don't know why my butt is shrinking, but but it is. So there's that.
When you started explaining that about the whole butt thing, I couldn't help but to think, and feel free to cut this later if you need to, but I couldn't help but to think of this Sir Mix-a-Lot saying you could do side bends or sit-ups. But please,
well, please don't lose that
butt. Yeah. Yeah, well, I didn't know if that's appropriate, but yeah, feel free to cut it if you need to. So.
Oh, no, it's probably appropriate after Meg's. I don't know if I should say this, but on another podcast. I will say, though, if you're putting it on your stomach and you're losing your butt, maybe you should put it on your butt and then we can keep losing the stomach. Maybe it's like
I'll try that. We'll come back in a month, do another episode. I'll give you an update.
Well, and I am not consistent with it, but I have started doing the dry brushing with it after your recommendation. So I have done that once or twice a week, I guess I should say. And I totally skipped over the beadlets and the gum because I honestly don't use those very much. I have used the beadlets to freshen breath or just for a change of a different beadlet, but I don't use it very often. And the gum, I'm just not a gum person. And so I haven't reached for it. But you guys have really sold me on like using it at certain times to just not feel like you want something that you're craving. So I just might have to try it.
Yeah, give it a try. I'm not a gum person at all. Like I still remember the day I stopped basically chewing gum. And it was like 5th or 6th grade. And it was because somebody said that it looked like cows chewing and like chewing grass. And then I was like, nope, I don't do that anymore. So the fact that I'm doing it again,
discreetly, I doubt you're like smacking on it to make it look like you're chewing grass, right?
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, anything else on MetaPWR?
I don't think so. I think it's really cool how it's affected just the three of us differently. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's a wide range of other things that other people have experience too. I like that it's so diverse. I do think that's a little bit difficult to explain to somebody when they're about to start it, though, is because there is not a set outcome to share with somebody.
Right. But I do think, so again, like just talking about my personal thought process as we learned about MetaPWR at convention. So I used to have really out of whack metabolic health. And it's taken me about 5 years to get my blood sugar to where I'm not pre-diabetic anymore, to balance things out. But everything that they said, the before and after, was my 5 years ago versus now. And that took 5 years of changing the way I'm eating, changing the way I was supplementing. And I've tried a bunch of different supplements. And so the fact that we are seeing these results after, for Heather and I, 2 months, Donald a month, is pretty impressive. And in general, they say as well, it takes about 90 days for your body to really get into like making the changes. So the fact that we are already seeing changes is pretty significant, I think.
Favorite MetaPWR product from each of you?
I think for me, it's the collagen.
Okay. For me, I believe it's the collagen as well. It feels really easy just to get up and do it, and it's part of the routine. And I don't know, I just like the idea of taking in collagen each day. It's something that I definitely was missing from my diet.
Yep, that's mine too.
Awesome. Okay, well, If nothing else, go get yourself the collagen. But I do recommend, like, initially get the whole kit and see what works for you, see what works with your routine. But it is cool that we all feel the same way about the collagen. So we hope that you guys have found this episode helpful. Definitely share it with people who you think it might be able to help as well. We would love it if you would rate and review this podcast. It would really help us have more people notice us if you were to do that. So we just appreciate you taking the time every week to listen to us. And as a reminder, the third Thursday of every month, except for September, we do an Ask Us Anything. And so we would love to have you jump onto that. It's Zoom from 7 p.m. Central to 7:30. So just 30 minutes where we can connect with each other and answer any of your essential oil questions. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in. For more information, you can follow these bottle poppin' ladies at bottlepoppinpodcast.com. Tune in next week to learn about what bottle we're poppin'. Until next time, take care. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This podcast is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease.